My name is Reggie. I'm about kicking ass, I'm about taking names, and we're about making games. We like games with big stars and big explosions. And we like games so scary, they keep you up at night. It is game time. It's a new day for me, and a new day for Nintendo. So let's get a couple things straight right off the bat. Part of my job is finding a way for you, the game experts, to have fun. At the same time, I understand if you're among the terminally hip, Nintendo isn't your only choice for gaming. But maybe what you've already seen helps you understand that we're serious about expanding what we do. We also understand that we're not going to run our company just for hardcore gamers. There are gamers out there who aren't as knowledgeable as you, gamers who aren't your age, gamers who don't have your tastes, gamers who live for Mario and Yoshi and Pokemon. It's my job, it's Nintendo's job, to make sure we satisfy all the gamers and to do it better than our competition. We know that this is your third stop on the press tour over the last 24 hours. We know what you've seen and heard, so let me draw a comparison. One of our competitors is a manufacturer in Japan who wants to capture every one of your entertainment dollars, transporting all your content between all your electronics devices on their memory sticks. We're not that company. And there's another company out there who doesn't care what you do as long as you do it on their operating system. We're not that company either. Over the years, I know you've heard a lot of Nintendo people say, we're all about the game. Well, guess what? We are. Whether you're talking about Donkey Kong or Tetris, Madden or Mario, Metal Gear or Resident Evil, he with the best games wins. Always been that way, always will. As this company moves forward, you're going to see more Nintendo games and different Nintendo games, and most importantly, new ways for you to relate to your games. But let me tell you one other thing. This is not a promise for what we're going to do sometime in the future. It's what we're doing right now. And if you don't realize that, listen closely. While others are talking, Nintendo is acting. Let me ask you a question. What company right now is driving category sales? If you said someone other than Nintendo, you're wrong. We have momentum, have had it since late last year. And if you don't feel it yet, you will. I'll promise you that. Now, I'd like you to welcome a guy who's been essential in building that momentum, George Harrison.
Well, good morning. Reggie mentioned what's going on in the market right now, so let's take a look. This graph shows the industry sales, excluding Nintendo, over the last 2 quarters, compared with the previous period. Now, you don't need an MBA to realize that this really isn't a pretty picture. A full half year of negative growth. Now, let's look at what Nintendo's done in the same time periods. In the last 3 months of last year, up a whopping 21%. And in the first quarter of this year, despite the fact that we're competing with our own success, last year launching Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, Zelda Wind Waker, and even Game Boy Advance SP, we're up another 7%. So without Nintendo, there would be no growth. On the console side, we see plenty of business yet to be done in this generation. And unlike one of our competitors, who appears anxious for this generation to end, we're intent on fully playing out our hand. It's how we've always played the game because it works. Right now, industry growth is being delivered by Nintendo, only by Nintendo. And that's because we're focused on the here and now. Here's the up-to-date scorecard on the console business. Over the last year, Sony has sold through about 6 million machines. That's a decline of about 28% from the year before. Microsoft moved about 3.3 million machines, 3.2 million machines, essentially flat with the previous year. During that same period, Nintendo sold through over 3.3 million units of GameCube, a jump of 41%. And yes, that is good for second place. So when you run the software equation, you get a very similar answer. Nintendo GameCube is more than holding its own. So far in 2004, we've sold more games per system than Microsoft, and we're closing in on Sony. Now, overall, the three systems combined have sold about 38 million units in this generation. And we believe that the potential for this generation is more than 55 million units. That means there are almost 20 million units still to be sold. And you have to ask yourself, what will sell them? Well, this is the fourth system that Nintendo has introduced and managed to the back half of a console cycle. And we've learned that success here always relies on the same three things. First, we've all burned through the hardcore early adopters, the gamers who want the most extreme challenges. They want them to occupy them for weeks or days at a time. The late adopters want something else. They want pure entertainment, entertainment that's easy to get into, and often just for a quick burst of time. And second, they want familiarity. They want names and characters from past generations that they're comfortable with. And finally, and most importantly, they want value. They're hunting for bargains. Major play for minor pay. Now, any of these three factors can win market share in the back half of a console cycle. But if you've got all three going for you, this is what you get. We dropped the Nintendo GameCube price in late September. After 30 days, sales were up 50% over the same period in the previous year. After 60 days, they were up 58%. And counting through the holidays, even though we had already begun to run out of inventory, we sold more than 73% more GameCubes than we did in the prior year. Now, this chart does two things. First, it shows you why Nintendo is driving growth for the industry. And at the same time, it sets the bar for sales performance from our console competitors. Can those competitors grow 73% in their first 90 days after a price drop? Well, we'll see. More importantly, though, we suspect it will be quite some time until someone can match our $99 price point. The value advantage in a value-conscious market clearly remains with Nintendo. Now next, we're fully deploying the familiar franchises that are so popular with the mass market. At the top of our briefing, we showed you 3 games designed to move the souls of even the most veteran gamer. And we're intent on expanding the GameCube's appeal. But we're not going to do it by ignoring the casual players who are just in it for a little bit of fun. On the show floor tomorrow, you'll see our market movers in action. A new Donkey Kong adventure, a new Pikmin, a move for Advance Wars to GameCube, and Mario making 2 appearances in Mario Party 6 and in Paper Mario. In all, Nintendo's GameCube library will grow to more than 400 games this year. And the common factor among all of them is fun. Now, new ways of interacting aren't just limited to the GameCube. Now, as you're all aware, Pokemon has again taken the market by storm in Japan with the new Fire Red and Leaf Green editions. They sold through nearly 2.5 million copies in less than 15 weeks. But there's a brand new kind of appeal here, too. The ability to trade your Pokemon with your friends using the Game Boy Advance wireless adapter. This opens up whole new horizons for the creators. And in fact, you'll soon be seeing and playing wirelessly with more than a dozen titles. It's great software and innovation like this that have pushed every competitor out of the out of the portable game space. And 9 serious competitors have made a run at Game Boy in the past 15 years. but 9 have failed. Game Boy doesn't just lead the handheld gaming market, it owns it. The Game Boy franchise this year is also making a significant revolution because of this feature, Game Boy Advance Video. No new hardware or accessories needed to play back pre-recorded material from these small video packs. The first titles will include multiple episodes of Pokemon and others on one pack. Well, will it sell? Initial orders are already over 2 million units. You can look forward to soon to material with a decidedly older appeal, and will have significantly larger memory capacity to allow even more video playback. Well, wireless connection and video playback really widen Game Boy's appeal. But in an important sense, that appeal is already expanding. It may surprise you to learn that 1/3 of all Game Boy Advance SP users are over the age of 18. And our classic NES line, coming in June, will bump the age appeal even higher. The new limited edition classic NES hardware and 8 classic games for $19.99 are sure to be a hit with gamers over the age of 25. Now let me take a moment to talk about the newest competitor in the handheld game. There is no doubt in our minds that the PSP will have some initial appeal for exactly the demographic in this audience today. But in this election year, let me put it this way. By the time the PSP gets on the ballot next spring, more than 25 million Americans will have already voted for Game Boy Advance. Now, if you're asking whether PSP can catch Game Boy Advance, maybe we should first ask, can the PS2 catch Game Boy Advance? Since its launch in June of 2001, Game Boy Advance has sold more units than PlayStation 2 in America. For that matter, since its launch, the SP all by itself has done exactly the same thing. So we sit today with a roughly 100% market share of the handheld market. Will that decline? Well, it certainly can't go up. But that loyal base of 25 million Game Boy Advance owners is just the first of the many mountains that Sony has to climb. Game Boy Advance SP is built to be tossed in the backpack, carried in the briefcase, or even dropped in an airline terminal. With no internal drive, it stands up to a lot of abuse. And when it turns on, it lasts. The lack of a moving media also means that the gameplay powers on. We expect our battery life to significantly outpace Sony's. So we think that's enough to be a deal breaker for really true game players. Now finally, those of you who've been around our industry for a while realize that Game Boy at heart really is a platform like any other, built on the back of exclusive must-have titles. Game Boy never would have built its initial audience without the appeal of Tetris and Super Mario Land. Never would have leapfrogged into the sales stratosphere without Pokemon. These are games that launched only on Game Boy. Sony, just like Nokia and others, have to find a killer application before they can truly appeal to the mass market. So bottom line, Game Boy set an all-time record last year. We sold through more systems than any other year in our history. And now, with the wireless play and the video playback, suddenly that appeal is that much greater. In the end, though, it's still about the games. And this year, you'll see Donkey Kong Country 2, F-Zero 2, The Legend of Zelda, Mario Advance, Mario Party, and Mario Pinball, all coming to Game Boy Advance. Together, there's a heavenly array of hits for both Game Boy Advance and Nintendo GameCube. The stars truly are coming out.
What we've talked about today are can't-miss products for Nintendo GameCube and Game Boy Advance. Games you'll be playing very soon. But there's something else in our future.
I know that a lot of the portable gamers that we have, and there's millions of them.
I think the dual screen is going to be amazing. It's about changing the way you play.
I think that the dual screen is the next leap forward. It looks like it could be a really neat concept. It's two-screen systems, never been done before. Well, I think everybody else is going to have to catch up.
All my friends are talking about the dual screen coming out, and I can't wait for it to come out.
I can't wait to see it.
Well, the wait is over. This is Nintendo DS. From the time we announced its code name, you've known these initials to represent the most obvious feature, dual screens. But that's not what the initials stand for to us. DS has a much larger and more relevant meaning. DS, Developer's System. In creating DS, we've given the world's most talented game makers new tools to work with, new ways to express their imaginations, and of course, in the end, new enjoyment for all of us. The result is this: DS not only changes Nintendo, it changes our industry. You'll find Nintendo DS represents a brand new way for players to relate to their games and to each other. Listen to the experts.
Nintendo came down and presented the DS platform to us just about a month or so ago. I think everyone was in shock.
When I told the functions of DS to our creators, they were very excited and eager to work on new development. They really liked DS.
The introduction of Nitro, or the DS, is going to allow us to take handheld gaming to the next level.
The history of the platform in the last 10 years is that improvements were made on only certain functions. It has been a long time since the platform itself changed radically.
With the DS, I think they set the next standard across the board for all kinds of things.
It's going to generate such a new way of playing games that is going to generate automatically more emotion, more excitement, and more fun for the player, which is basically what we are here for.
Things will totally change. We will think anew what we want to express and what kind of things we want players to enjoy using this platform. We're expecting to change the contents of the game, how to play the game, and how to make the game.
The DS will continue Nintendo's great success in the handheld gaming market.
It's very innovative technology that is clearly focused on immersing the consumer into the gaming experience.
As a whole, the development community already understands what's going on here. I like to think of it like buying a car. Admit it, your left brain looks at a vehicle in terms of the numbers. What's the horsepower, the towing capacity, the 0 to 60? That's our competitor's approach. But your right brain is different. There's only one question out there. Sitting behind the wheel, where will this baby take me? In other words, do you want to go just a little bit faster down the same streets you've always driven, or down a new road to places you've never seen before? That's the difference with Nintendo DS. Let me explain how this new journey is going to happen. Up to now, most of what the world knows about DS are those two screens. Today, it's my privilege to tell you the rest of the story. But let's start with the two screens. Each is programmable in 2D or 3D. The choice is up to the game designer. This opens a wealth of options for the developers, and they're totally excited about it. The 3D quality is simply beautiful. Most of you remember how you felt the first time you saw Super Mario 64 on Nintendo 64. It was a breakthrough that took the industry by storm. But this is Nintendo DS action, playing on our new portable system, just as you'll see it on the show floor tomorrow. Isn't it exciting? Well, then Mario sees himself in Nintendo DS, and he feels like flying. Now, how exactly do these screens get used? Well, again, it's developer's choice. But for starters, one character can stand 2 panels high, or take 2 different perspectives of the same battle, or monitor constantly available maps and menus. Here's a brand new Metroid game playing on Nintendo DS. The same way you'll be playing it tomorrow. Targeting and shooting now moves beyond buttons. Just tap the screen where you want to fire. Metroid's missions have always been nerve-wracking, but now they're non-stop, because all of your map positioning and weapons changes are done on the fly. It's just awesome. But 2 screens are just the first of 2s that define DS. Let's move on to the next pair, 2 media bays. One accommodates DS software, easily holding games with 1 gigabit of data and well beyond. The other plays all of your favorite GBA games. That's right. Backward compatibility means an instant library of over 500 titles. And it also welcomes a host of different accessories to enrich your game experience. Next, consider the most exciting 2 for game players. 2 incredible new forms of player control. This is where the connection to your game really changes. The first is touchscreen, responding to either a stylus or to your fingertip. It's transformative. Whether you're inputting data onto a software keyboard or actually changing the direction or viewpoint of your gameplay, it's truly unique. The combination of 2 screens and touchscreen stands to reinvent gameplay. You can only find this on Nintendo. You can only feel this on Nintendo. And besides touch, there's talk. The built-in microphone can be married to voice recognition programs. That means your voice, and only your voice, can control the play. Together, touch and voice opens vast new realms of game interaction. If you're looking for the future of gaming, look at the interface. Finally, my favorite 2, dual wireless capability. The first is a proprietary application that allows up to 16 people to play and communicate together. The range extends up to 100 feet. Think about different seats in an office, a lecture hall, an airplane. Who says they can't all become connected playgrounds? And with Nintendo DS, local wireless takes on a whole new definition. Specifically, imagine instant chat and draw, transmitted exactly like you created in your handwriting. Your little works of art will look the same way on other screens as they do on your own. And DS will even connect for you, springing to life from sleep mode once you're in range of someone else transmitting in group format. But what if your friend is more than a few feet away, say a few time zones away? No problem. Wi-Fi means you can connect via the net. It's beyond online, it's no line. In all, this machine truly is transformative. It changes how you connect to your games and to each other. There's no reason to take my word for it. Instead, listen again to the developers who are already working on it. Their eyes are fixed firmly on the game horizon, mapping entirely new routes with Nintendo DS.
We look at the Nintendo DS as the next generation in portable gaming. It's more advanced, fully 3D. The two screens allow for a new game mechanic.
I think the brighter display, and I think this new memory format is really going to set the standard for how handheld devices are going to be created in the future.
What I like best is the touch panels. The idea of just touching is wonderful. It's the touch panels that make things easy. The games that took a very complicated operating system and input system may be more player-friendly by using touch panels. The function will enable us to try more interesting things.
And one of the most exciting parts of playing video games is competing with your friends and your family, and to be able to compete with a live person is just ultimately the most exciting part of a product. The fact that a format like Nintendo DS supports that kind of multiplayer is tremendous because it really allows games to get to the next level.
We can use 4 screens when played by 2 players, maybe even 6 screens or 8 screens. The number of screens increases rapidly, and that kind of possibility of expansion makes us excited.
The developer opportunities are right now what's really driving a lot of creativity in the studios. How are we going to use the wireless? What can we do with 2 screens? What about the touch screen? That's really focusing our game designers on trying to build games in an entirely new way.
What you've heard and what you've seen don't begin to tell the DS story. You can't start to appreciate it until you get your hands on one starting tomorrow. And even then, it's just a start. The benefits of DS will be rolling out for months and years following launch. And when will that launch come? We're targeting a release of Nintendo DS in both Japan and America this year. And Europe and Australia in the first quarter of next year. It will come to the market. It will come to the market with a new name and at an affordable price. On the show floor tomorrow, you'll see a wide range of demonstrations. Many of them, in fact, will become retail software. The change that DS represents, and indeed all of the new Nintendo, is happening under the leadership of our worldwide president, Mr. Satoru Iwata. Please join me in welcoming him.
Thank you. Thank you. Nintendo was proud when we introduced the plus key switch with the NES instead of arcade joysticks. Proud of 2-player gaming with the NES and 4-player gaming on Nintendo 64. Proud of that analog joystick and the Rumble Pack and True 3D. We are proud we established portable gaming with Game Boy. All these advances are now industry standards. All make us proud. But I think we are most proud of this. All of those innovations changed games, and so will Nintendo DS. DS is not simply new. It's not just more functions or higher specs. It is different. Of course, Nintendo DS is not the only change in our future. That same word, different, also defines our approach for our next home system. It won't simply be new. It won't simply include new technologies. Better technology is good, but technology is not enough. Today's consoles already offer fairly photorealistic expressions. Simply beefing up those graphics will not let most of us see a difference. So what should a new machine do? For both game creators and game players, new machine needs to do much more. They must offer an unprecedented play experience, something no other machine has delivered before. The definition of a new machine must be different. I want you to know that Nintendo is working on our next system, and that system will create a gaming revolution. Internal game development is underway. When the impact of the new home machine comes, our revolution will be there. I suppose I could give you a list of our technical specs. I believe you'd like that, but I won't for a simple reason. They really don't matter. The time when horsepower alone made an important difference is over. From this time on, we must create something more unprecedented experiences, the same way we have with Nintendo DS. So let me repeat. Work on revolution is well underway. When you see it, you will be excited because you will experience a gaming revolution. And with Nintendo DS, video games will be changed. This week, I invite you to enjoy the great new experiences we are creating for Nintendo GameCube and Nintendo Game Boy Advance, and of course, the wonderful new Nintendo DS. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Iwata. I hope you've all enjoyed our program this morning. But before you leave, I'd like you to step inside one more world for Nintendo GameCube.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shigeru Miyamoto.
I'm not Link, but I do know him. Even after 18 years, the Legend of Zelda never stops changing. and this game is no different. We are now taking you to a world where Link has grown up, a world where he will act different and look different. In order to grow, Link must not stand still, and neither can I. So, thank you. And goodbye.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've spent my entire career marketing products to teens and 20-somethings. And I learned a long time ago, there's no BSing that audience. They want great product and they want great value. They want cutting edge and they want legendary. They want the best of the past and they demand what's absolutely right now. Nintendo is delivering all of that. Zelda, Capcom's Resident Evil, Pokemon, Mario, and Nintendo DS all boost the momentum we're carrying into this E3 through the rest of this year and well beyond. We're giving players what they want for both GameCube and Game Boy Advance, and they're rewarding us with more market share. Funny how that works. As you've seen, Nintendo DS is not standing still. As a 10th serious competitor decides to make a run at Game Boy, DS raises the bar on portable gaming before they even get started. Nintendo DS is a third way to play. It defines its own category. It reinvents portable entertainment, and so will Nintendo's revolution. I hope if we've done anything, it's to show you that this is a new day for Nintendo. We remain all about the game, all about the gamer, or in other words, all about you. Thank you and enjoy the show.